Hi, my name is Colleen Bradley. Today we will be discussing what to expect in your telehealth visit and exploring the essentials for a family-centered telemedicine experience. This webinar is brought to you by Washington Family Voices and Family to Family Health Information Center of Washington. We would like to acknowledge our funders, Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA. For more information, please visit hrsa.gov. Our hope is that at the conclusion of this webinar, you will be able to identify 4 ways to prepare for your telemedicine appointment. Identify accommodations that your family may need for a successful appointment and knowing how to ask for them. Identify one strategy to avoid or improve a difficult telemedicine visit. Let's get started with some definitions to clarify the tele-what and digi-what of the telemedicine landscape. Telemedicine. Telemedicine is often used interchangeably with telehealth, but it is technically focused on the clinical aspects of care, such as a video appointment with your child's pediatrician or a virtual therapy session. Telehealth. Telehealth is the use of electronic information and telecommunication technologies to support long-distance clinical health care, patient and professional health-related education, public health, and health administration. Technologies used in telehealth can include video conferencing, the internet, store and forward imaging, streaming media, terrestrial and wireless communications. Digital and connected health. Digital and connected health is the use of digital, mobile, wearable, or any other innovative technologies that facilitate the tracking and monitoring of a health status and behavior. Its goal is to foster a more patient-centered, insight-driven healthcare. What does family-centered telehealth mean? Family-centered care is when you and your provider are working together for the well-being of you or your loved one. Family-centered telehealth is a way of providing services through a variety of digital platforms that assures the health and well-being of children and youth with special health care needs and their families through respectful family professional partnerships. Family-centered telehealth can help children and youth with special health care needs and families to access health care, improve experience, reduce stress, improve communication, and improve quality of life and well-being. Patients have rights in telehealth, just as they do in in-person visits. Let's review some of these telehealth rights. Care via telehealth. You have the right to receive considerate, respectful, and compassionate care through telehealth, regardless of your age, gender, race, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, or disabilities. Plans of care. You have the right to disagree with any plans or ask for reviews or changes to the plan of care in a telehealth visit, just as you would in an in-person visit. Questions. You have the right to ask your provider or the appropriate office staff any questions about logging into and needing assistance with the platform. You have the right to share information or symptoms and ask questions during a telehealth visit as you would during an in-person visit. Documentation. You have the right to receive the same type of information, such as test results or diagnosis, during a telehealth visit as you would during an in-person visit. Vision, hearing, and speech. You have the right to accommodation for vision, hearing, and speech to be able to access your telemedicine visit. Family and support. You have the right to have a family member, support person, or other individual present with you during your telehealth visit. Interpretation. You have the right to access a telehealth visit in your primary language with effective and adequate interpretation services. Stop a visit. You have the right to stop a telehealth visit with a provider if you feel uncomfortable at any time. Some examples of things that may make you feel uncomfortable: if the provider is eating, taking another call, talking with someone off camera. Family-centered telehealth responsibilities. As patients and caregivers, we have rights during a telemedicine appointment, but we also have responsibilities. Let's discuss some of those now. Come with information. Come to the telehealth visit with information and updates about your or your child's health, such as celebration in your or your child's life since last visit, concerns, symptoms, treatments or hospitalizations since the last visit, medications, updates from other providers, and any other information that you think your provider might need to know. Questions. Ask questions when you do not understand information or a plan of care. Take notes and ask questions on any orders, plans, and action items discussed during the telehealth visit. Participation. Actively participate in the telehealth visit. If you are assisting your child in a visit, offer your child the same opportunity to actively participate in your telehealth visit. Exam. Assist with any physical examination of yourself or your child, or demonstrate issues with care, such as problems with supply or equipment, during the telehealth visit. Other names for a telemedicine appointment. There are many names for a telemedicine appointment. Let's talk about some of them today, so if your provider calls it something else, you will recognize the name. E-consults, e-visits, virtual visits, telecare, telehealth, virtual care, mHealth, virtual health care, online visit, video visit, and phone visit. Before the visit, let's answer one of the most frequently asked questions. Will I have to pay for my telemedicine appointment? Insurance coverage for telehealth is impacted by federal and state laws, as well as insurance company policies. Telehealth policies during the COVID pandemic have changed on an almost daily basis. Washington Medicaid, Apple Health, allows for telemedicine visits, as they reimburse providers on par with in-person visits. Before you schedule your appointment, contact your insurer at the customer or member services number on the back of your insurance card. Questions to ask your insurer. Does my policy cover telehealth services? How do you define telehealth services? What's included? Does it have to be live video? Are there specific restrictions around the service, such as visits only, or are there limitations to the number of times a year it can be used? Does the service require any special documentation from the doctor? Ask for a call reference number should you need to refer back to this call. Your provider's office can also help with your insurance concerns. When calling your provider's office to schedule the appointment, ask whether or not it is covered by insurance. If it is not, ask how much the appointment costs and if there are any discounts that are available. Let's discuss the 3 parts of a telemedicine appointment: before the visit, during the visit, and next steps and after the visit. Let's start out with before the visit. Now it's time to schedule your telemedicine appointment. Calling your provider on the phone is only one of the many ways telemedicine appointments may be scheduled in today's world. Some other options include log into the portal to schedule online, visit a provider or practice's website to schedule online, fill out an intake form and they will return your call, or while at a doctor's visit, having the provider or office staff plan the next visit for you, and they will phone or give you an online notification later. When scheduling your appointment, make sure your provider has the most current phone number and email. If you're speaking to someone at the office, feel free to ask questions like, how long is this visit going to be? Do any forms need to be updated? How do I see my provider on the day of the appointment? Will there be a link, a login, or portal? Can I request an interpreter if needed, or any other accommodations needed? Accommodations should be requested when making the appointment and confirmed before the visit begins. These accommodations may include translation services, audio-visual accommodations, or adaptive technology. There are 4 things to think about when you are setting up for your telemedicine visit. We will go into depth in all of these in just a sec. There's space, equipment, information, and participants. The space. Reduce noise. Set up in a place with few auditory distractions so you can hear your provider clearly and so they can hear you clearly. Private and confidential. Find a place where others will not overhear your conversation. Well-lit area. Make sure there's enough light so they can examine things like your skin or body parts. Reliable internet connection. Ensure that you are in a place where your call will not be dropped. Equipment. A device with a camera and microphone. Instructions of links to see your provider. Install any apps needed for the appointment. A notepad, paper, pen, and shared plan of care. Ask your provider if you will need the following equipment: thermometer, scale, blood pressure monitor, flashlight, or any other equipment. If you do not have access to these, ask your provider if they can provide them. Information. The third thing to gather before a telehealth visit is information, which can be jotted down on a piece of paper, or you could utilize a worksheet like the one shown. This information can include a list of celebrations, concerns, or challenges since the last visit, changes or observations with health, mood, and daily life, a list of medications, supplies, and medical equipment, updates from other providers, therapists, or schools. The participants. Who will attend the visit? Who will be virtual? And who will be in person? If the appointment is for your child and they want to share and be involved in the telehealth visit, help them prepare with stories, role play, videos, and provide them a space and items that will help them be comfortable. Let's talk about some tips about during the visit itself. During the visit, you may be asked to take your or your child's vital signs like blood pressure or temperature. Gently push on your or your child's stomach as instructed by the provider. Perform other procedures as requested. Hold your phone or computer camera to areas on your or your child's body so your provider can do a thorough examination. Some ideas for helping kids and teens during their telehealth appointment. For younger children, provide a snack or meal before the visit. Avoid scheduling the appointment at nap time. Find a comfortable location. Have their favorite toy available, and have a snack and or drink available to them. For older children, teens, and young adults, eat before your appointment. Find a comfortable location like your room or the couch. Wear clothes that are comfortable and comforting, and have water or drink nearby. Let's look at a video that shares some tips for telemedicine appointments that allow for an individual with autism to be comfortable in their environment during a telemedicine appointment.
Now, if you've got a cooperative child, being on the lap can be very helpful. But sometimes they're a little bit more impulsive, so the screen will need to be set the camera will need to be set a little farther back to give them room to roam or to play. And this is another example.
You see him in the back?
I can, that's probably why I'm doing it, is so we can have a great example of how you guys can work with me while he's still doing his own thing.
Okay, good.
So Rosie, you can come back in the frame.
There we go, we got both of us, you got Keanu, perfect.
Yeah, awesome. And sometimes you have to wonder how much space is enough. Come on. Howdy, folks. And eventually he does come back. But sometimes a wider frame is important. And this is also tells you a lot about the relationship of the people you may be working with, whether they're oppositional or.
And this brings us to the next steps and after the visit section. At the end of your visit, you and your healthcare provider can discuss diagnosis and treatment plans. Pause and make sure you understand and are comfortable with the plan. Do you have any questions? Does the plan meet the needs of your family? Schedule any follow-up appointments, testing, or labs. Who is taking care of orders and prescriptions? What referrals might be needed, and who is making them? Plan the next visit for a little longer or shorter, depending on your and your family's needs, and communicate what accommodations could be made for next visit. Once you hang up the phone or disconnect from the computer or device, we are in the after the visit section. If you have any questions or concerns after the visit is ended, contact your healthcare provider's office. One last example we would like to share with you is of a successful appointment for teletherapy. Not just medical visits are being done by telemedicine, but therapy, early intervention, mental health services, and many other types of appointments can be done through telemedicine.
Okay, all right, Mia, are you ready for our exercises?
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you the first one we're gonna do. What animal do you see up here?
The crab.
The crab. Let's do our crab walks. Ready? Let's do 10 crab walks. Belly up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good work. Mia, we have a choice now. Do you want to do your book first, or do you want to do tennis ball guy first?
A tennis ball.
Tennis ball guy. Oh, he's fun. Good. And put your hands on the red circles. We're going to squeeze. It's a little bit tricky. Tennis ball guy likes pennies. Can you feed him some pennies? Nom, 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 nom.
He's almost full.
Okay, he's full. Okay, let's put him over to the side for a minute.
If you need further assistance so you or a loved one can have a successful telemedicine visit, please reach out to Washington Family Voices or the nearest Family Voices office in your state or territory.
Give your name, say why it is that you're here today, why, what your story is with telehealth. Just a quick, 60-second version. Cayenne, how about you go first?
Hi, my name is Cayenne Flint. I'm the Director of Accessibility with Wonky Consulting. I have 2 genetic disorders which have led to me using a wheelchair for mobility, and I am also legally blind. I have used telehealth multiple times throughout this time of COVID-19 and trying to stay safe, and it has showed me even more how technology can improve access and independence.
Cool, thanks. Shonda, would you like to go?
So my name is Shonda Hicks, and I am a parent of 3 children. My middle child has a diagnosis of Down syndrome, and he is 15. And I primarily use telehealth for his visits. We live in a rural community, and that has really opened up access to specialty providers that we would normally have access to. And it also, like Cayenne was saying, in the time of COVID, has kept us safe without having to either reschedule appointments or miss appointments for providers that we would normally be out in the public doing.
Thank you. So Miriam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Miriam, and I'm an advocate for the disabled community, and I have cerebral palsy, and I'm a wheelchair user, and yeah, I love telemedicine. I just feel like it's more accessible for me, and I can just do stuff for the comfort of my own home.
Great, thank you so much. So we'll go in the same order. Just say what your favorite thing about telehealth and telemedicine has been. So, Cayenne?
For me, my favorite thing about telehealth has been not having to find a caregiver to drive me to an appointment, not having to go to an appointment that's 3 hours away. Just all the logistics that go into visiting the doctor pre-getting to the doctor have been removed from my visit, which gives me a lot more energy, a lot more independence in talking with my doctor, and that has just made going to the doctor a lot more simple of a process.
My favorite part about telemedicine is that I can do things from the comfort of my house, and like Cayenne was saying, transportation has been a big issue for me since I'm a wheelchair user, and I depend on insurance companies taking me to appointments, and sometimes I have to wait like 6 hours just to be seen for like 30 minutes, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm glad I can just have the appointment in like 30 minutes and just be done for the whole entire day and don't take up all this time.
I am sensing a theme here, and yes, I have to agree. It's nice knowing that that time is better spent elsewhere. So, Shonda, are you able to go?
No, I think that I agree with what Miriam and Cayenne were saying as far as getting ready for appointments. My son, with his diagnosis, tends to have a little bit of appointment anxiety, and it does obviously offer the release of that. We don't have to stage and schedule or do social stories to prep for an appointment. So it really frees up that piece of his day. I don't have to de-escalate him or help him de-escalate himself. And so I really appreciate that. The other piece, of course, is access. We live in, again, a rural community where some of his doctors are 3.5 hours away, and a ferry ride. So it's nice to just pop on, do our appointment and then go back to our day without a 6 or 7 hour round trip drive, having to go to that one appointment.
Oh, thank you guys so much. So we're going to go from the good to the bad. What is the worst thing about telehealth and telemedicine? Any bad experiences you've had? Cayenne.
I haven't had any bad experiences personally, but I can foresee there being a negative side to telehealth, as a lot of tests are done in person, a lot of evaluation is done in person that just really couldn't be done over telehealth. And so I have that fear of something being missed, maybe not for me personally, but for a loved one or just someone in general. So there are things that just really can't be done on telehealth. So how do we find ways to not necessarily get around that, but to make sure that we don't miss certain things that could end up being life-threatening?
Very good point. Shonda, would you like to go? And
Yeah, so for me, while I agree with Cayenne, I would say that ours is internet connection. We have a poor internet in rural communities, and sometimes logging in and getting booted is very frustrating. And then having to contact the provider's office, try to figure out how to still have the appointment, whether it be by phone or rescheduling. It's just that becomes a little frustrating when it happens multiple times. And that's been our biggest hiccup or barrier.
yeah, that sounds quite understandable. Miriam, on to you.
I had this like really weird experience. I was supposed to get a procedure done. So the doctor has only seen me via telemedicine, and he didn't know I was a wheelchair user. So I went to the office to get this procedure done, and they were just like, "Oh, I didn't know you was in a wheelchair. You like a fall risk, and we can't do the procedure." And it was like, like I didn't know I was supposed to say something. Like I don't know how to navigate that.
Wow, they really should have checked your charts. Come on. But yeah, that does demonstrate there's some things that just aren't obvious when you're talking like this, because we can't really see what's going on. So I just wanted to know if anyone had tips for someone who has been really hesitant about going to a telemedicine appointment, or they've only gone to one and it didn't go well. What tips do you have to make it better or less anxiety producing?
For me, I think that the story that I would convey is when we were on telemedicine with one of my son's providers, and he's actually through a therapy class called the biobehavioral therapy, where they look for the biology of the behaviors that are happening, and he's a psychologist. And while we were on we had our appointment coming, we had a behavior spike. It was in my car, my van. And I was able to just access the appointment on my smartphone and put it on my little, like the holder, and have the appointment still in the van and still actually show him what was happening in real time. So not only was when we were able to still access the appointment, but the provider was able to see exactly what I was trying to convey for so many weeks. This is what's happening. And he actually was able to talk both of us through a de-escalation, use all of those tools and techniques that he was offering. And then we made it into the house, and then I went back on the computer. But it was a perfect example of how telehealth can actually be sometimes more beneficial than an in-person visit, where this therapy, my son would be in four white walls and wouldn't necessarily behave the same way as he would in, in the world that he exists in. So it really opened my eyes to the benefits of telehealth. And whenever I do have someone that gets hesitant, I convey the story, because you never know what can happen and what can pop up that can be beneficial.
Oh, yeah, that sounds actually very useful to be able to show what the behaviors are, not just repeat them later. So, Cayenne, are you able to talk now?
My tips would be to prepare as best as you can to ease your nerves, especially if you've had a bad experience before. YouTube can be extremely helpful if your doctor's appointment is going to be over Zoom. There are free Zoom accounts. Maybe practice with a friend and get used to how Zoom works. Drink something that is calming to you, maybe tea or coffee. Just be in an environment that makes you feel really comfortable. And then don't feel bad if your internet connection goes out, because most doctors are going to be flexible, and you potentially will be able to call and talk to your doctor over the phone. That may not always be the case, but don't stress too much, because telehealth is pretty new for everybody and will give you great access and independence. So just take it one step at a time, and you probably will figure it out and benefit from it.
Thank you, Cayenne. Those are good tips. So, Miriam, do you have any tips for people who are hesitant about telehealth?
I agree with Cayenne when she says preparation. Like try to get like any new medication that you're taking and try to get them out, and try to like what is the goal of the appointment, and try to make that a priority to address whatever you want to address by taking notes, and taking notes of any questions you may have or concerns.
Yeah, good tip, because it's so easy to forget stuff when you're talking and you're trying to deal with all of the computer aspects. So, all right. So I'm gonna ask Cindy, do you have any questions you would like to ask the panel?
One thing I think is a good reminder to everyone who's thinking about telehealth is it's just not, it can be with, your eye doctor, it can be with a dermatologist. Telehealth can be with, it can, be your mental health care therapist. You can get an eye exam through telehealth. And so it's just not, like medical, those things are medical, but I think it's important to remember, those other things as well. And prescriptions, you can also get prescription renewals through your telehealth visit as well. So.
But I have a comment building off of what Cindy said about the different various departments that you can access under telehealth. Me personally, in the very beginning of COVID, I had a spot on my collarbone that I had been worried about, and I had made the appointment. COVID happened, and we were in this zone of the very beginning of it. They didn't know what to do, so we tried Zoom, and I was actually the dermatologist's third Zoom appointment ever. And he asked me, he goes, let's do it on your smartphone so that I can have better access to your skin. It was amazing. He said, let's position it, okay, up, and I had him on speaker. We worked together, which I felt was really empowering. We felt like, two people navigating a system in the middle of a pandemic and trying to make sure that, you know, everyone was staying healthy. And it just built this feeling of not just empowerment, but also teamwork. Yeah, you know, he has the expertise and here I am with the questions. So we were able to diagnose via telehealth that, yes, I did need to be seen in person. And then we navigated that piece after. But yeah, I think it's important to say that there are many different departments that are accessible via telemedicine and telehealth.